Today we're checking out Modulus, a factory automation game like no other, where you design not just the factory but how every production buildable works, whether that's cutting blocks, assembling them or colouring them, to automate the pieces that you need to build new factories and robots. It's a really fun take on the factory automation genre, where normally you'd have a single production process that's quite restrictive, such as turning iron ore into iron ingots and then ingots into rods and so on and so forth. And yes, some games like Satisfactory do have alternate recipes which offer more flexibility, but Modulus is the total opposite. You take blocks and turn them into their end shapes however you like. And there's many options available for you to design. It's this freedom that really levels up the problem solving and why this should be one of the factory games on your watch list. And here we are in game. So I've already gone through the majority of the tutorial, and I just really quickly wanted to show you the actual building system without needing to go through the tutorial. So here we have our miners that we've just placed, and we've connected them to a conveyor belt, and this is harvesting polyrock. And there are other resources in game, such as the hexacrystals. There's also oil that we can harvest, and some other things here and there as well. And from this we can combine this polyrock in a furnace. Let's just quickly grab these ones as well. And the controls are really smooth, it's really easy to build. But this allows us to produce these large blocks. And this is like going from iron ore to iron in Satisfactory. However, this is kind of where the game opens up, because we have access to, say, the cutter, and then we can choose how we want to cut this up. So we could cut it into 2 pieces, we could cut it into 4 single pieces, or we could do it as a 3 and a 1. And from there, take out the resources, and we could then combine them, although it's probably going to be easier for this demonstration just to cut this in half. So let's just remove them. Help if I got the right controls. There we go. So we're cutting them in half. We're getting these double pieces out. What we could maybe do on this side is cut one of these into 2 pieces, and we could do the same. So I'm just going to grab that again, but rather than do the exact same build, cut, we're going to flip these and then cut them into 2 pieces. And now, from that polyrock, we're able to produce 2 totally different pieces. And if we want, we can then combine these together in this assembler in whichever way that we want. So if we want an L shape, we could do that. Maybe you want a T shape. And maybe you want something just a little bit odd. Maybe you want that. And so what's great about this game is the creative freedom that you have when it comes to solving production. And you can combine these multiple times. So if we were to grab this again, and we're going to have to reset the order. Maybe you're doing a kind of donut shape. Well, yeah, you absolutely can do that. And there you go, you've created it. It's these little setups that allow you to create modules that work together to create various shapes. And we could also do this with painting as well. So we have the monotoner, which allows us to turn one item into another tone. In fact, let's just grab our bin. We'll put it here for now. And you can see how we're now turning that shape into a 2-toned shape. And then there's the option to also paint them. We have the option to create stampers, which allows to cut out little sections. So maybe here we want to cut out that. And so from here we now have the middle section, the little nut out of the donut if we wanted. And then we also have the ring piece here. And so there is so much freedom to be had in the way that you approach designing your factories in this. So we're going to delete all of that and we're going to start building now. The first thing that we want to build is a basic core facility. This is going to allow us to create cores that we're going to need to build our bots. So for that, if we click here, we have our basic piece here, this module, and we're going to pin that one. And we can also pin this module as well. It's the most basic of blocks in the game. And then knowing that we've got to produce those, we're going to set up a production line from this. So let's grab our foundry, smelter, furnace, that's the word I was looking for. And then we're going to cut this up into 2 pieces. And then from here, we're going to assemble them. And I'm going to keep it quite compact. We can mirror it by pressing T. And then from here, we can now turn these like that. And we have produced the first item, at least I think we have, which we will run. And then we're going to build a crane. And this is going to take that item, as you can see, and it's going to use it to build this module, or this building. And I love how we can see it being built at the same time. But we also need this piece. So we're going to grab our miners, and we're going to place them all along here so that we have another load of resources being produced. I'm going to run it like that, run that across there. Grab our furnace, place it, and then from here we're going to cut our block into 2. We're then going to assemble it just like we did the last time. In fact, I could have copied and pasted the whole build thinking about it. But then from here, we're going to take this shape and we're going to cut that into 2. But we don't want to do it that way. We want to do it so that it is this shape, and then we can run this around, and I think, could be mistaken, but I think that is the shape that we need for this build. Yeah, wonderful. So we're now getting started at building this, and this is going to unlock a new build piece for us. Let's speed it up by adding another crane, and I love the depth of field that we've got with this. Everything's slightly blurry in the background. And here we are. So this is now produced, and it's combining these build pieces that it needed in order to produce the next item. But for this, we do need another buildable. We need a harvester pad, and this can be linked with this building, so that it takes the resources that it's producing and from here outputs our new AI cores. Now these are needed in order to produce the basic bot assembly. So the next thing that we're going to need for this building, and we can, if we remove the pins and we click on this, now we have access to this module to build, and also this one, which is very similar to the ones that we have over here. So what we could do, if we weren't worried about throughput, is just take the slicer, we'll place it there, and then run that along here. Then we just need to cut it in 2 and have it, 1. And there we go, that is the first piece that we need. And then the second one, we can just grab the monotoner, run that along, and take that as well. And that is allowing us to build that. And we can upgrade this. This will allow us to produce these more efficiently or faster. So that can be really beneficial, but it will be shut down during that time. So it's something to consider. But we're going to let this build now. And I think at the same time, we might as well upgrade this. And there we go. This building is now ready to produce those basic bots, but it does need those cores. So once again, if we add a crane this side, we're now taking those cores and we will turn them into a robot. And for that, we're going to need to also have another one of these harvesting pads. And then we connect them. And at this point, we now have the first of our little bots. Look how cute they are. So now that that's done, we can start looking at the next buildable, which is, we've got blue buildings. Ooh, that could be a fun one. Or we also have the basic refineries, which allow us to create blue pigment, allowing us to create the blue assemblers. So you can see how advancing the buildings here give you access to other bots in game. But of course, all of this is part of the demo. So there is going to be a limit to how much we can do, which I think will probably be droid assembly. Yeah, which is the blue tier. So anyway, we're going to get started on that now. For this, we need a black and white variant of this. So we'll do a whole new production chain, a plain black one that doubles these up, and then a mix as well. And we're going to start off with building once again these miners. And whilst I set this up, we can talk about a little event that's coming up that I am really excited to be part of, which also involves Modulus. Although I should mention this video isn't sponsored in any way. I just thought it would be really nice to share the game with you guys prior to me doing this event, because some of you might want to see more of this. And if that's the case, I'll actually be heading down to London EGX on Sunday the 26th to compete in the Factory Frenzy competition, where I and a few other creators that you may know will be going head to head in Modulus, using all of the modules available in-game to create pixel art based on a set theme that they'll tell us about on the day. So I should really be spending a little bit more time playing around with all the elements that this game has to offer, so I don't look stupid on the main stage. And if you happen to be at EGX on the day and bump into me, feel free to say hi. It would be great to meet you. Anyway, we will be starting on the main stage at 2 p.m. and thankfully, for those of you who can't be there, you'll still have the opportunity to join us from the Modulus and EGX live stream. So do keep your eyes peeled for information regarding that. I'll probably put some on my channel or maybe in the Discord when I have the info, but hopefully we'll see you there. Let's get back to the game. Okay, and here we are with the blue pigment refinery. We're getting pretty close to producing that now. One of the great things with this is that from the get-go, we have access to a way of copy and pasting our loadouts. So once we're happy with a system, we can just copy and paste it, or even just copy and paste the individual buildables to make building these progressively larger factories much easier. With this now produced, we can combine the resources that we're already producing with that blue pigment. It can be mined here. We'll just run it around to this point. And with that, we should be able to start producing that blue pigment. Again, this is going to need a drone, I do believe, to harvest or take the resources out once they're done. But from there, we now have, hopefully, blue pigment, which can be used in the painter to produce the next item for us, which is going to be the droid core facility. Now, this requires the blue version of this. So what we can do if we want is just copy this whole build section. I hope it works like this. I could be mistaken. And let's see what we do with the paint. Oh, that's not a painter. Dye mixer. Oh, wait. Okay, so we need to create the paint first. And for that, we need oil and we need the blue pigment. So let's remove this. The oil is here. So let's harvest the oil using an oil rig. And then we can produce our paint through one of these. Now I'm thinking if there's a smart way that we can do this. And we don't need a lot to get started with. So if we just grab the oil like so, we can then bring all of this and we can use a tunnel like that to send the resources under so that we can produce that blue paint. If you've had any experience with like shapes, this will definitely help you out with planning these kinds of builds. So with the blue paint now being produced, we need to start considering how we're going to be producing this particular item. So we're going to just copy and paste this over, yeah, we could do it over here. And we take the resources underneath. And so now we're going to be producing those white polyblock pieces. Let's make sure we pinned these recipes. From here, we need to paint them. So we're going to grab our painter. And actually, we're going to need 2 lots of blue paint. So let's split the paint that we have here to go like that. That will give us the blue blocks that we need for the first section of the build. I'm going to just run them over there for now. And then the next thing we need to produce is this one. So once again, we're going to grab the polyrock that we need and start producing this production line here. We want to keep this as simple as possible for us for the time being. But certainly for a demo, there is a lot of fun to be had. I think they've done a really good job with this. We're now going to split this up. Might be better actually to cut it up first, and we'll send one off to the painter, and then we'll have another one that is cut in half and also goes over there. We'll see if this works. Hopefully it does. So we're going to cut this one into halves, and this section needs to be painted. So we're going to grab our painter again, and from here we can grab this build piece and then run that across to there. That should leave us with the blue pieces that we need. And then last but not least, ooh, don't know if we have enough room here. Not quite. It's all right, we can work with what we've got. So at this point, we're going to join these up with hopefully this piece in the assembler to produce our second piece, which would be that. Now with that done, we're left with one more build piece for our droid core facility, and this is quite an interesting one because we have the center section cut out, and we also have these with the edges cut out. And there's 2 ways that we can go. Wow, there's more than 2 ways. But obviously for the first piece, the easiest thing that we can do is to grab this production line. Oh look, we can squeeze it in here with a little bit of luck, which will allow us to produce the flat white piece. And then we're going to use the stamper, which is going to have to be, I'm gonna delete that, and we're gonna place this way around. So now we're producing the white piece, and we're going to split this into 2. So we've got our monotoner again, and we now have a black piece and a white piece. With the white piece, we're going to stamp it. In fact, if we can do it there, we've got a little bit of room. The white piece is really easy and simple. We're just going to cut out those 8. And now we have a byproduct, and what we choose to do with that byproduct is our own prerogative. I'm just going to grab the delete, the scrapper, and we're just going to scrap that. But we also have our centerpiece that we need. And then for the black piece, we're going to change it up, and we're going to, what we could have done is cut it in half and then only cut that piece and then stick the pieces back together. But instead, while we're here, I'm going to configure it like that. And then from here, we can scrap these. We don't actually need to, it will still run without that, but I think it's nice to just get rid of the excess. But we will use the assembler again to produce the final item, which is this, I hope. Yeah, so from here, let's pull this back. We're gonna run one line across there, and then these can go out this way. We're going to collect these items and let that run. And whilst we're at it, we're going to add an extra upgrade to these buildings, because you can see as they get upgraded, they're going to get gradually larger as well. And I love that they have that in the game so that you can see this gradual progression in your factory. They're going to get bigger and bigger as you upgrade them, allowing you to produce more robots per minute. Now, when it comes to completing everything, you'll want to have a delivery dock and you can just feed the items in. So here we go. Should have done this a long time ago. We've got all 48 here running straight to this. They're going to be sent off, I don't know, to space maybe? And then the last thing for us to do is to produce the drones. But the other thing that they've found, and it ties in with the competition that we've just spoken about, is that they've noticed from their community that people are able to create really fun and interesting pixel art thanks to the freedom to print and stamp and paint all these pieces and assemble them together. And so I'm very excited to see what we're going to attempt to build for the competition, but we have no idea what the requirement is going to be. So we're just going to have to wait and see for that. All right, how are we getting on with this? Almost there. So we've got a couple more pieces. It's these ones that we need. And at the moment we're waiting on a load of the paint. So I wonder if there's a way that we can increase this. I wonder if we can just delete one of those, because we need 8 of this type. So it makes sense to double up on those cranes. That should maintain the efficiency, because before it was only running at 50%. Anyway, now that that is built, we have our droid cores. Again, we're going to need a harvester, and we can connect them up. And I think we can actually add more drones to this, maybe. But we will worry about that later. Anyway, we're now producing those droid cores. Let's get the last building on the go, which is the droid assembly. I think we may have to do it over here, looking at it. So if we have the droid cores running along here, be able to add a crane to that. And this requires some more build pieces. So you can see how this is gradually getting more complicated, and they have a lot more planned in the game. The full game, obviously, we can keep pressing escape by accident. We can see that there are at least 5 colors currently available, but I have reason to believe there are more colors available later in the game. So it could well be that there's even more than just these 5 colors to play around with, allowing us to create ever more complicated robots to put to work. Anyway, let's get started with these. So we're going to need more paint first and foremost. Do we have any around? We do. Okay, so we have paint over here and also some more over there and also over here. So I'm going to start setting up just a painting line in this area, and then we'll bring the resources across to produce them here. Okay, I'm a little bit further along. I was worried I wasn't producing enough paint, so I started building another one, kind of left this and then realized that all of this is filled up because I didn't have a sink. But now I've turned it all back on. We should start running out. You can see it's starting to run through now. But I am working on another paint factory over here. And what I love about this is the ease of creating these blueprints. So I've created this one for paint, and all I need to do is continue running this through. Would help if I have the recipe selected. So from here we'll select blue. We'll do the same with all of these. And then we need the pigment, which we will sort out in a second. But from here, the idea is that all the paint will run along this section. And all I need to do is press C and then drag a box. And there we are. I can press T to mirror the build, like so, make sure it's rotated the right way around. Now I just need to press it again and we can bring these together, and voila, we have a paint factory, or will have a paint factory, I should say. We need to make sure that this is sent through. I'm not sure on the actual efficiency of this though, because I haven't quite got my head around the way the maths is all worked out. Fingers crossed, we should start seeing Oh, and we'll make sure that that one runs there. There we go. Look at that. We've got a paint factory up and running. Don't know why it was complaining about the recipes there. And then this can be sent along. In fact, we should probably avoid blocking that. We might need them later. So from here, I'm gonna do it to about this point because I've realized, firstly, there's auto tunneling, which is fantastic, but also we can tunnel out of the map so that we can do our logistics on the outside, should we wish to. And from here, I'm going to somehow run this all the way around the outside. And then the first factory that we need to do, I've been printing out these, so I need to paint them blue now, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. One there, then the other one needs to come around and feed that into there. And then these can run all the way along like that into our droid assembly. And with a little bit of luck, that section is now done. And we can get started on the next one, which is this, which also shouldn't be too difficult. Keep pressing escape. Right, where are we going with this one? So let's start off with producing the basic item. And we'll do the same here. And next we're going to, actually we can just grab this line here. Keep it nice and simple, nice and quick. If we bring it all the way around here. Okay, well, let's move that to there. And that's producing the... Ooh. We need to halve and halve again. What's the output? 60 per minute. So should be able to run it from one of these. And then one of these needs to be painted. Makes sense that it be this one. So let's just do the same system that we've done before. Got a feeling I'm going to regret doing this. Here we go. Take that under. We've got 1, 2, and we need to work out how to get the resource over there, which shouldn't be too difficult because we can just bring it down under here, then into there. And then that's the blue section done. We need to combine that or assemble it here into that. So there's definitely a lot of puzzle solving, I should say, in this. But there's lots of different ways to go about. I keep stressing that, and it really is the case. So, for example, if I just quickly swap these around, earlier on we had to produce these, and so we went across and we produced the whole block. Then we cut it into 2 halves. And then 1 half we cut in half, and the other one we printed black. And then we cut them into 2 separate 1 slices, and then combined them like this, and then doubled them up to produce that. On this side, what we did was cut them into a single thin sheet, and then we painted 1 half black and 1 half white. And then we just cut them in half, down the middle, and then flip them over and merge them again. So it's little things like that which can help you reduce the amount of machines and increase the throughput, which make it really satisfying working on, well, reworking your factory lines. Right, where were we? We've got these going in, 32, 32, and then we've got the big one, which is a set of these. I'm tempted just to take the excess here. Can we slide that under? No, we're not quite. Well, this is quite the issue. We could bring this across if we wanted to, and then we'd need to cut that in half. This is very quickly getting very messy. There we go. That's what we need for that. And then we also need, if we grab these, we can run that under. Oh, do we have enough room? This is going to be a push. So from here, we can cut it into 4 individual slices. From there, we can turn it into this. That's producing 120. So in theory, we could actually increase this. If I move that to there, grabbed another one of these, that means that we'll be getting 60, 60. That can go under. How do we get enough? We've got 60 of these, and we've got, how many of these coming through? 30. Yeah, really we need to double this line up. Ooh. Let's see. Why challenge we don't actually need that. Oh, we kind of do, just so that we don't accidentally get other resources on the line. But nevertheless, we've now got the white piece and then what will be the black variant. And then the blue piece, we're gonna slide to that. Oh, we can make it wonderful. So at this point, we're going to need to, I've just realized we need to do it in 2 pieces. We can't do it all at once. So we kind of need to have it so that half is going into this one. I'm sure there is a much more efficient way to do this. So that's 1 piece. And then the other piece, I'm actually going to put this under, have it come out there, feed that into there. And that should allow us to do the white. And then we assemble it again. Goodness me. This is about as close to spaghetti as you're going to get in my builds, I promise. I am sitting here. We're going to add that into there, and that should be the piece done. We somehow need to get it over here. So let's run this. We can make it. It's going to be messy. No, we can't. We can't make it. Actually, why am I always tunneling when we could actually get the other lines to tunnel? So if we were to... Oh, this is spaghetti-o. Can I go to... We can... Oh dear, this is terrible, but it works. Wonderful. Okay, so we've now got these being taken in, which means we're able to produce the droids. I can bet we're going to need to have another. Let's remove this actually. And there we go. End of demo. We have reached the end. We've issued new objectives to put your factory skills to the test. Goodness me, I think I have managed. Well, we can get these sent. What's wrong with this one? Oh, I don't know what happened there. How on earth? It looks like it's taken one of these and painted it blue, but that's what? Okay, let's just see if that happens again. Okay, that seems fine. I've no idea what happened there. Maybe while I was building one of these, one of them got onto the paint line. But at this point, we can produce the droid. Wait, oh no, it needs the droid cores, which we are now sending here. And then this will allow us the production of our own droids, which we can then send from here. So we should have built our first droids, he says. We're still waiting. Okay, so all we're waiting for now is our last droid core, which should be sent from there. Here it comes. And then from there, we're going to produce our 2 droids, which we will be able to send to our little depot here. And there we are. Wonderful. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad we've done that. Anyway, there is a lot more to be offered in the full game. They did mention that the early access would start at the end of October. I don't know if that's still happening, but if you'd like me to cover this more, please do let me know in the comments below. And until then, I'm going to be building 1,200 bots, we're almost there, and 480 droids. But guys, we're going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed our first little look at Modulus. If you did, hit the thumbs up and let me know if you'd like to see more in the comments below. But special thanks, as always, does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Lunar Eclipse patrons, Firefless the Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Dr. Shotgun. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.